Hello and welcome to another Sketch Starters with Nicole. How can two cards look so strikingly similar yet so different? I'm going to show you today with my two projects. They feature spheres and spirals and wallpaper art. Today I'm going to take a slightly different approach because these cards are so similar. They actually have almost an exact same background to them. So I have two pieces of watercolor paper here. I'm going to start with the first one and put down a wash in a rectangular shape here and make sure that I have that filled in as best I can so that my ink will blend. And I am using the lime watercolor brush marker from the Tropical Fiesta set. Now for this first one, I want it to be bold and dramatic. So I'm making sure that I get lots of ink down on my cardstock. And then I'm going to get it to go in this square shape to match my card here. All right, so once I feel like I've got enough ink down, I can actually switch to my watercolor brush and move that around a little bit and get just the perfect shape that I'm looking for. So you can see this is big, bright, and bold. We are going to do a few other things to this panel after it's dry. So that's a good start on that one. Nice and bright. And for the second one, we're going to go much softer. So again, the same outline, and I don't mind that my water is dirty and I'm getting some green on here. That's a-okay, since I am using the same color. And I'm not going to push the button on this. I'm just going to use what I have in the tip here to get just a little bit of green on here, not too much. And actually that is quite enough to get spread around on my base. Again, in that rectangular shape, just following the outline here and making sure that I have a fairly even finish. All right, so now I have my two panels and these need to dry for just a few minutes. I'll hit them with my heat gun and when we come back, we'll finish these panels up. All right, so both of my panels are dry now, and I'm going to go and put some detail on them using some journaling pens and the Pure White and Jet Black inks. So for the darker panel, I'm going to use a thicker journaling pen and just do a double line all the way around, freehand. And I don't mind if they crisscross or get closer together or farther apart. That's just what freehanding this kind of look is all about. All right, so that's good for that one. And then for the lighter color one, I'm using a 0.03 pen, so it is more fine. And again, just a double line all the way. Okay, so again, both looking very similar. And I'm going to take the white ink spray and just go ahead and uncap it here and just do some spatter all over. And then I'll go ahead and add some jet black as well. While I'm waiting for those panels to dry, I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping. So I'll start with spheres and spirals, and I have this set up already with the two sphere stamps in here, and I've got a piece of real gray and a piece of dark gray cardstock. So I'm going to use my obsidian black to ink both of these up and stamp those images. And I noticed that sometimes with colored cardstock, you need to stamp twice just because the ink really does soak into the paper rather quickly. Make sure I get a really good impression on both of these. There we go. Okay, so that's the first set. And then I'm going to pull out the wallpaper art. Set these aside. And with wallpaper art, I'm going to use this small flower here. And then this larger flower here. So get those inked up on some white cardstock. All right, and those turned out pretty great. So now I can go ahead and take all of my stamped images and die cut them out. All right, so now I have all of my die cut pieces done, and while I was at it, I did my sentiments. So both of these are on some jet black cardstock with crisp white embossing powder. So those are done and ready to go, and my backgrounds are all dry, and I have my card bases. So let's do some assembly. All right, so again, both of these are going to be almost exactly identical in their layout. Actually, they are going to be identical in their layout. We're using that sketch exactly the same for both of these. I'm not doing any turning or twisting or anything this time, so that way you can really see what a difference just a stamp set can make to a project. All right, so I've got my card bases almost done up here, and those fit right on. Okay, so those are good to go. Then I'm going to take my larger piece for both of these and lay them out where that larger circle is, just kind of a little lower than the median line. So there's that center line there, and just get that just a little lower than that. And then the same thing with the large flower. Go ahead and angle that just a little bit. All right, and as you can see, I've broken that line here, and that will help kind of draw your eye to it, and it just really frames everything out so nice. Okay, so then my sentiment is going to go right on my other circular element here. And the nice thing about this stamp set is you can see by using the lines in the stamp exactly where that should be centered in place. And then with this flower, I kind of have an option of how I want it arranged and where I want that thank you to go. So I'll kind of keep this in place while I put the thank you down. And then I can pick it up and center it off of there. All right, so there you go. And that's actually all we need with the glue. And then I could just glue these straight down, but I think some dimension at this point is really warranted. So I'll put some adhesive squares or circles on this element here and pop it so that it matches up with my sketch. So, you know, got a little bit of overlap there. And the same thing with this one. So you can see that sketches are a super versatile way to create any number of projects. It all really just depends on your take at the time and perhaps, you know, what you might need as far as cards in your stash. So maybe you need something a little bit more geometric and a little bit more bold, or maybe you're just feeling that way, or maybe you need something a little floral and more feminine and a little bit lighter. Either way, they both fulfill the challenge of the sketch. I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and they really show you that the sky's the limit when you have a sketch to start with. If you use this sketch in a future project, don't forget to share it out on social media and tag at Altenew LLC and at Pixel Mavens Retreat. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'll be back soon with a new sketch and 2 new takes. And until then, happy crafting.